Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. You made it through yet another week, and it's been a hot week here in New York City, and much of the country. We've been going through kind of a heat wave. It's in the upper 90s here and whatnot, but at night it only gets down to the mid 80s, which is really miserable, you know. Thank goodness for air conditioning. I remember when I was a kid, we didn't have air conditioning until I was in my mid-teens. And I remember when my dad brought one home that was a gift from somewhere. He got somewhere and put it in the living room window. And it was the most beautiful thing. And we all slept in that. We all took up blankets and pillows and slept in the living room that night. How things have changed, huh? Well, today we got a couple things to do. And like I said, because it's so hot, I don't want to be down here. It doesn't take long before it gets sweltering down here with the lights and everything. We have a couple things to do that I could take upstairs. One of them, my girlfriend, let me tell you the story. Was it 2 years already? She had this gnome. You know what a gnome is, right? I had a friend that's an actual gnome that I used to work with. But gnomes, you know, little figures, dwarfs of some type. Well, she had this gnome that needed to be refurbished, and I refurbished it. And a couple months ago, one of the delivery people that were coming to her house said, he was freaking out. He says, I won. She's like, what are you talking about? He says, they have a running contest where he works, who can find the best gnome and take a picture. So he took a picture of the gnome that I refurbished, and he was the winner. So he was all happy about that. So then she said, well, I got a couple more gnomes that need to be redone. She gave it to me, and they've been sitting down here for a while, but it's about time I get it done, and wanted to do it before our birthday coming up. So let's take a look at what we have. We have a couple gnomes that are in bad shape, in need of repainting. They have to look good from 10 feet away, so I don't have to go nuts, but let's check it out. Okay, so this is today's project. You can see these are pretty much damaged. Okay, especially this guy over here to the left. He's got a lot of damages, you know. Plastic coatings coming off, some kind of butterfly on his hand is wrecked, but let's see if we can't get these to look somewhat presentable. Okay, we remove this, took this off. You can see it exposes a little hole here, but we'll work on that. Now we backfilled the hole with some screening, and we're going to use good old-fashioned Bondo. I happen to have some that's kind of past its expiration date. And we're just going to put this on here and smear it in. Normally you would use a plaster type to fix this, and you can see here before the Bondo actually sets up and dries totally hard, you can take something like a screen or a rasp or anything like that, and you could work it before it's totally set up. It's a lot easier to get it down. And then when it really sets up, then you would use a file and sandpaper, things like that, to get it super smooth. We don't have to really worry about that here. You can see we're using just a file just to get it down to the basic shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now the key is not to go nuts here. You just want to get it pretty much smooth because the paint will fill it in. You could also make a slurry with a plaster slurry, but we're not. We're just going to paint it just the way it is now. Okay, next up, this little guy had a lantern at one time that broke off. It was so I was going to make one, but I found this that they sold at my buddy Brian and I went and picked this up for a few dollars. I figure it's better than making it. But what I have to do is I have to put... It's a candle lantern. You can see it opens up to put those candles in. But I have to drill a hole through his hand, and I have to make a new, I guess that's called a bail. Now, to drill the hole, we never pass by an opportunity where we can use a vintage drill. This one here is the Black & Decker. This is the transitional phase, the one where they had the half plastic handle when they were just going over to all plastic. Still had the front metal case. Beautiful drill. Let's do that. Okay, next up, while the paint is drying, you know, I'm watching one of my good buddy, Tom Gunn Tools. Tom's been killing all of the garage sales and tag sales out here in Long Island. He picked up, he was in one of his hauls, he picked up one of these. And when he had it, I said, I got to have one of these. I haven't seen one. I did my research. I wanted an early one, and this is a very early one. You could tell because this one here, if you look here, what this is, it's called a palm grip ratchet. And you could see here, it says patent pending. So this was an early one. Also has the slotted screws compared to the Phillips. And it's also, you could see it was before chrome plating. This is early days and smooth as can be. We're going to take it apart and see what makes this thing tick. You know, getting into my buddy Snapring Chronicles territory, but we'll clean it up and I'll show you why this thing is so cool and why a lot of people don't know about it or know really how to use it too good. So let's get to it. The palm grip was patented by George Fratz and Paul Sandrock back in 1952. You can see it was patented as a palm gripping screwdriver. And it was in all the popular mechanics, things like that. And basically, it would come with the palm grip, and you chose what kind of screwdriver you wanted. And this is what the assembly would look like. Okay, you can see there's very little to this to take it apart into, here's your little selector switch here, okay? And over here, you have the two pulls. And you have your gear over here, which will pull straight up, just like this. You have to be careful that these don't spring. You don't want to lose those springs or anything. But you could see here, you know, this one here is ancient, old. And it's funny how these gears, it looks like three separate, look at that, three separate tooth gears that are put together to make one. And, you know, lubrication. So we're going to clean this up. Put it back together and let me show you. It's very simple, huh? Not much to it. Love this. What a cool little hand palm ratchet. I'll show you why they're so good in a minute. Now to clean this up, you can use flitch. You can use anything like that. I'm just going to use some Mother's Mag aluminum polish. This stuff's been around for years. We used to use this years ago. You don't see it too much being used today, but it's a really great product. And every once in a while I like to pull it out. And we'll just do this real quick just to get out some of the... Just bring back some of the luster. And there we go. We're calling that project done. We just wanted to put a little bit of luster back the way it would have looked when it was new. Again, this Mother's works great. You can see what we did here. Just cleaned everything up, lubricated. Now, I want you to listen to this. Can you hear that? That is about the smoothest ratcheting mechanism I have. I oiled it, greased it. Compare that to these Asian knockoff. This is another type of pump. But listen, you could hear how dry it is. And it's not smooth. It grabs, it pulls. I mean, this has to be worn in. I've known guys that put this on a drill to wear it in and spin it for a while, you know, with lubrication there. But how these really shine, these kind of palm ratchets, there's so many ways you could use them, but I've always found that one of these flexible extensions on here, especially here, you take it like this with a flexible extension, and you can really, really use it good. But this one here, you would put on a nice one like this here, and listen, look at that. I know you all want one now. You're just sitting there. Some of you guys are already on eBay. You pause the camera and you're on eBay, and I can see why. But where these really shine, swivel, when you put your swivel socket on there, okay? This is where these, and then, you know, again, you could just tighten up here, but you could see how this would work. So a special thanks to Tom Gunn for introducing me to this palm grip. You can see palm grip, made in the USA, patent pending, Kipton Industries, Kipton, patent pending. What a nice unit, huh? And this is, oh, so smooth, just beautiful. That's when America made great stuff. Okay, the paint is now dry on our gnomes, and you know my favorite part. Remember what they looked like before. And we're calling this project done. I think they came out pretty good. Take a look at the little lantern there. And that's actually made for tea candles, or tea light candles they call them. You can see how we painted. You see the damage on this guy's arm was repaired. You can't really tell. I think he was holding something. You know, he had a butterfly there. There must have been something too between. You can see the mushroom here. We repainted everything. The base. Gave him a brown belt instead of a black belt. This guy, we kept it black. Did the buckles, and you can see that the hats. We changed the colors a little bit. I like them. I like gnomes. They're whimsical, you know? Nothing. And I changed their eye color, and I gave them a little more detail around. I made the whites of their eyes actually white instead of it used to be the same color as their skin. So there we go. 2 repainted gnomes. Okay, so in closing, time to go upstairs and sit in the cool AC and watch a little bit of TV before nighttime comes, and then we'll get working again. But thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great weekend, and stay cool. Take care now. Bye-bye.